are you looking at this fight with your next opponent, Ian Garry?
There is nobody to replicate what I do. Previous opponents come up to me, I was like, I didn't think that was ever going to happen to me. Genuinely, like, like, damn.
You dropped Holland a couple times and you didn't follow up.
Me stunting on him, I know it's going to further demoralize him during the fight. After the first round, he was telling his coaches, man, this guy's a lot faster than you guys are thinking. Like,
what was that experience like going right in there with Mike Perry?
I just made one stupid error right at the beginning and just got caught. This one just took it away from my legs. I went up to my coach and I was like, coach, I can't feel my legs. He's like, your legs. When I'm doing like face-offs with people, I'm raising the snake up and I see the eyes shift. But there's one person I did the Venom and he looked me dead in my eyes and I was like, damn, this is gonna be a fight, boy, because he did them bunch.
Oh, it's 15-time world champion Demetrious Johnson. You're listening to the Mighty Cast.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Mighty Cast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a big fan of this guy. I have been hypercritical when I break down his fights. Only reason why is because my black ass is 5'3" and his black ass is like 6'7", so he can do what he does. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Michael Venom Page. What's up, MVP? How you doing, brother?
Yeah, man, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Michael, I'm gonna get right to it. Okay, the first time I ever got exposed to you is when you blew up Homeboy's face in Bellator. You did a flying knee and you destroyed Cyborg's face. Okay, you did that, and it almost made me second guess doing mixed martial arts because you see so many different fights around the world, right? You see fights, in Russia, Asia, America. But it's very rare you see somebody do a flying knee, perfectly timed, by the way, perfectly timed flying knee. You land right on his forehead and you blow his face up. Okay. Now, first off, did you feel bad about it? Like, what? I mean, talk me through that shit. Like, when it happened, I was like, oh my God, he done killed him. And when you see the X-rays afterwards, it's like, oh my God. And I don't think he ever fought after that. So
no, he hasn't.
Yeah, that's the first time I exposed to you. So tell me about you blowing up Homeboy's face. Walk me through that.
Yeah, it was it was a crazy night because loads of things. We were trying to get, like I said, if you've seen my fights, I like my celebrations and stuff. So we're trying to get all of that prepped and sorted out and made sure, we had ready. And we had a few issues with like the stuff like getting to me earlier on, but we managed to make that happen. It was all good. Getting there, we prepared for landing the jumping knee. Obviously, not necessarily with that devastation, but we had actually prepared because we noticed that a lot of these guys, a lot of Cyborg's fight, he would lean over to throw his overhand, and that's a perfect time for me to land my jump knee. So I was putting a lot of pressure, piling a lot of pressure on him just to try and have him open up, and he was being quite defensive initially, and then after I think I landed a body shot, it really got him, and I kind of kept piling the pressure. So there was a moment where he decided to come forward, and I just jumped up, landed that knee, but I never knew the damage. So obviously I knew I had landed something crazy because he's turned over, he's not locked out, but his feet's like kicking. Anytime I see people's feet kicking, they're in pain. Yep. I assumed I probably broke his nose or something, which is a bit more of a common injury in MMA. So I was doing my celebration. He gets walked out. I never saw him again. Next day, I get a picture sent to me on my phone by my sister. Now, my family are full of jokers. We always like to crack jokes and banter on each other. So when she sent that, I thought she was making it up. I was like, wow. I started laughing, why are you taking the piss for? Da, 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 da. And she was like, no, this is just online. This is seriously, this is what's happened to his head. And I was like, what? And then I phoned up my coach and he was like, yeah, I saw it last night, but I didn't want to tell you anything. I wanted you to just enjoy your celebration and da, 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 da. And not kind of worry about that. But yeah, obviously I was kind of worried that that he's going to be okay, which he was, fortunately. But yeah, it was a bit of a crazy one.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw you fight. Like, it was like you're doing all your shit, you dancing. Now, do you manifest that stuff? Like, are you in the back and you're warming up and you're doing your pad work, you're doing everything, and you're like, okay, after I knock him out, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this dance. It's a celebration. It's gonna go viral. Are you manifesting this stuff, or are you just going on the fly?
No. A lot of what I do is already premeditated. Like, I already know. I already know. Like, this is why I have my gimmicks. My celebrations are already set. They're ready because I've already seen it. I've seen it 100. I've seen it 1,000,000 times, and I've seen it play out. And it's funny. Like I said, my family are a big part of what I do. So a lot of the times when I'm talking before fights, I'm talking to them. I'm like, oh, what do you reckon for this? What do you reckon for that? But with the Pokemon celebration, I think we was at, they obviously they flew over because I got loads of family in Miami. They flew over from Miami, was all at the house probably like a few days before, about 4 days before. At my mum's house, we were just chilling, catching up, joking. And my brother was like, has anybody got Pokemon Go on their phone? And yeah, everyone just took out their phone. We're like, yo, we're all playing it. Because it had just, I think it dropped the day before. And then we were just kind of cracking jokes about what Pokemon we've caught, blah, blah, blah. And then my brother was like, your next opponent kind of sounds like a Pokemon. And we started laughing about that. And then we were kind of like, no, wait a minute. Like, if you knock him out, then you should do this, and all these different ideas came. And because Pokemon Go had only just dropped, when I went to the stores to try and get all the people, they didn't really have anything in store. But I'm a bit of a geek, so I kind of know a couple of spots that you can go and find some stuff. And I managed to get a hat, get the Pokeball, and then just visualize exactly how I was gonna do it.
Gotcha. Now, when you say Pokemon Go, what is that? I'm not familiar with that. Enlighten me. And I think the viewers aren't know what the hell that is either. So what is that?
So Pokemon Go, it literally blew up around the world. Like, everybody was playing it. It's one of those ones that it's basically an app.
Oh, Pokemon Go.
Yeah, Pokemon Go.
Oh shit! I thought you were saying like Poka got Mo. So I thought you were saying something else like okay, Pokemon
I was
Go.
about to say, be careful when you say Poka. I was like, where was you going with that? Where was
I was like, is this a new song that just dropped? Is this a new food? What the fuck's going on here? But Pokemon Go, yes, I remember that came.
Yeah.
It blew up, and I do remember you having, the Pokemon ball, and then I think even Ray Rod or somebody did a thing of you.
So it's funny you say that. We were talking about it in the house, and we said, I guarantee you, I think it was the next day or next morning. I think the next morning, no, it was actually the time we was talking about the actual idea of the celebration. My brother was literally like, I guarantee you someone does an edit and sucks him into the ball. And that does.
And they did.
And then they literally did it. We were crying, bro. We were crying.
Well, it's good because you're we're going to talk about this in the next, that's how I'm going to segue into my next thing, but you are entertaining the fans in both ways, right? Like, you're whooping ass, you're doing amazing stuff in there, flying knees, these amazing things that a lot of people can't do. And then you're also giving, content creators the opportunity to make edits of I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I mean, I grew up watching Ash and, Misty and Brock trying to, get all those damn gym badges. Girls. Yeah, for the girls, and you're sitting here doing it, so that's absolutely lazy. I didn't know you guys sat around with the family and come up with these type of skits, I guess you can call them.
Yeah, literally, all the time. Like I say, like, as much as it's a solo sport from the outside, for me, I got two families that play a big role. So my family at London Street Fighters, the team there, they help get me, as you would know, they help get you to, be at the level that I need to be to win these fights. And then I got my family that's that helped me with the kind of creativity, and it's literally just because we like cracking jokes on each other. That's just our family, always laughing, joking. So we like to take the mickey out of each other. So we do the same thing with our opponent, my opponent. So we just talk about what we can do, what we can say, and then I just execute.
When you said you didn't know what Pokemon Go was, I'm like, what the fuck is DJ talking about? You don't know Pokemon Go?
No, I didn't understand his accent, and the accent. I was like, Pokemon Go? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Of all people, DJ doesn't know what Pokemon Go is. Like, my mind was blown for a second.
What's going on, boys? This podcast is sponsored by PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports game where you can make picks amongst multiple sports: basketball, football. We you miss our football. It'll be back soon. Don't worry. Mixed martial arts, Valorant, CSGO, NASCAR, you name it, they got it. And the cool thing about PrizePicks is you can play directly from your phone. All you gotta do is go to your app store, download PrizePicks, and when you do that, make sure you use my promo code MIGHTY. They'll match up to $100 of your deposits, get you in the game to make the right picks. Now, when I look at PrizePicks right now at time of filming, they got UFC 303 on the board. And when I look at it, I'm liking what Alex Pereira is doing, 50.5 strikes. I like less on that. Reason why is because Alex, he typically knocks you out when he gets the opportunity to land that many strikes. If he does land 50.5 strikes, that means Yuri is gonna get eat up with those calf kicks. So once again, if you wanna try PrizePicks, go to your app store, download it right from your phone, use my promo code MIGHTY, they'll match with the $100 of your deposit, and boys, make sure you make the right picks at the right place, which is PrizePicks. What's going on, guys? This podcast is sponsored by Hexclad. Now, Hexclad is a revolutionary hybrid cookware. They have said Hexclad is the Rolls Royce of cookware. The great Gordon Ramsay has also said this is the top of the line brand when it comes to cookware. And my favorite thing from their lineup is their frying pan. I use it almost every morning when I'm cooking my eggs, or if the wife's gonna saute some veggies, or if we're gonna cook a nice steak on this bad boy. And when you purchase your Hexclad, it'll come in this nice little thing here. That's a high quality right there, baby. It's gonna have this beautiful hexagon print on it, laser etching. That way it's non-stick and also utensil safe and dishwasher safe too. Now, when you're on the website and you're trying to look at, man, where do I start? They got you covered. They have a 6-piece starter set, which is the perfect thing to purchase if you're now trying to get into some brand new cookware, or if you want to give a guest a nice house warming gift. Or if you're a seasoned chef and you need to upgrade your cookware, look no further, get your Hexclad. Now, if you want to upgrade your cookware and start cooking and treating yourself like a true chef and a true king, go to hexclad.com/mighty. That will save you 10% on your complete order. And the cool thing about Hexclad is that it has a lifetime warranty guarantee. So if something were ever go wrong with your set of pots and pans, I am positive that they will replace them and make sure you guys are very, very happy. Stop cooking with the old cookware. Upgrade. Step your game up. Go to hexclad.com/mighty. That will save you 10% on your complete order. Shout out to Hexclad for sponsoring this podcast. Let's get back to MVP, Michael Venom Page. Pokemon Go, talk with the family. You got two sides of the family. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the very beginning. When did you get started in mixed martial arts or martial arts in general? Because when I look at your style, this is where I see like why I'm always hyper. Before I went down this path of breaking down fights, starting the Mighty Cast, I always think about my upbringing. And for me, my coach, not force me, but it was so serious. Like, if you drop somebody, you fall into the ground, you pass their guard, you're looking for the submission. If you can't outstrike them, then you're out wrestling them. If you can't out wrestle them, you can't strike them, then you're out grappling them. And when I look at your style, I'm like, God, I don't know what, I feel like his background might be karate. I'm not sure, because you'll drop people. You'll clearly drop somebody and you're like, you be doing your little dance like Dave Chappelle. You're like, come on, get up, get up, get up. Let me see what you're gonna do. You let him back up and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Pass his guard, submit him. He gets back up and then you hit him again and you drop him. I'm like, this motherfucker ain't, he don't even care. I'm like, so what was your infancy start into martial arts?
So at a very young age, because both my parents did it. So both my mom used to do, but I started in Lao Gar Kung Fu. So my a lot older cousin, he's more like an uncle to me. There's a guy called Master Stan Brown. He trained under a guy called Master Yao, and that's my older cousin on my mother's side. And he also trained my dad. So there was a weird era, weird enough that not many people talk about. It's actually something I want to kind of, talk more about, especially the Caribbean community, even the Indian community over in the UK. I want to say around the 70s, 80s, they used to do like what they call late night cinemas, which is all the commercial cinemas. Once they've finished, sorry about that. Once the commercial cinemas had actually finished, they would play like all the kung fu movies late night afterwards. And for some reason, it just drew a big Caribbean community, like, you know, just I could say Afro community, shall I say. And like everybody wanted to be, you know, a martial artist afterwards. And then this guy, Master Yao, had I think it was his uncle that brought it over to the UK, and he kind of continued that. And Master Stan Brown was one of his, you know, early students over here. So we used to have to travel from here to Birmingham, where he was based, like 2 hours drive to go and train with him. But I started, because of my family were both in it, I started literally as soon as just after I was walking. So 3 hours in and around classes, you know, doing whatever I could do. At 5, I had my first competition, and then literally just been competing. And the competitions were freestyle kickboxing, which is like sport karate. So very similar to, or exactly the same as, if you've watched Raymond Daniels before, we both came from a very similar, sport, freestyle kickboxing, which is literally it's a melting pot of karate, kung fu, kickboxing, like taekwondo, all in one. And they had it's more the speed element of martial arts than it is the power element of martial arts.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So it's kung fu. So you started up in kung fu, and throughout middle school, high school, did you play in other sports, or did you stay mostly in kung fu because you're pretty athletic? Obviously, you know, when you're talking about the kung fu, it's about the speed aspect of it. Speed takes a lot of athleticism and being in the right spot. And then from kung fu, you started at a very early age. You were doing the freestyle kickboxing. Now, when you're in middle school, high school, did you just stay with kung fu? Or did you do like basketball, football, wrestling, anything like that? Or did you stay straight into martial arts the whole entire time?
So,
growing
to be
up?
fair, I've always been a bit of a jack of all trades. Like, I got into soccer, I got into swimming, I was breakdancing at one point. I did American football, I did rugby, I've done tennis, I played really well. Cricket, I used to do it at Lord's, skiing. Like, I've always been able to...
God damn.
Yeah. I've always been able to just pick up anything that requires body movement. And I think it's because I did martial art at such a young age. I was very coordinated. So I could a lot of the times I could just see something and just pick it up just visually. And that's kind of how I learned as well. So, I did so many things. I think the anchor for me was always martial arts, just because it was a family thing. It was something that I always did with my family, and it didn't even feel like it was a sport at the time. Everything else felt like I was actually having to go and do something, whereas with the kickboxing, it was just something that we did as a family. So it's a weird one. And even when I was younger, my dad always said, there's two things that is a non-negotiable. It's your training and school. There's two things that there's no getting out of. You have to do it. And he's never made us compete. He's always say, you don't have to compete, but you have to train. And to be fair, we always enjoyed competing, so I never understood why he said that anyway. But I think it was just so he doesn't want to make it seem like he's pressuring us to do it. He's like, it's your choice if you want to, use your skills to actually go to competition. But training is it doesn't matter what happens, you have to do that.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to your father. As I have 3 children of my own, and my oldest, he loves to compete. He loves to compete. He does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so does all 3 of my kids do. My middle son, he does not like to fucking compete. He hates it. It pisses him off.
Yeah.
And he says, he's like, I can't deal with the emotions of losing. And I said, well, that's okay. Just chill. But it's not a negotiable. You have to train 4 days a week in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
You can play football, soccer, and all other stuff, but you are going to learn how to defend yourself. So shout out to your dad for doing it, because a lot of people are like, if you're going to be putting this much time into training in a form of martial arts, you are going to compete. So I can see where your dad's like, hey, you know what? Like, you're going to train, but you don't have to compete, because a lot of people can't deal with the pressure of competition, where some children, they thrive off it, and some children, they almost get, what's what I'm looking for? They always lose self-confidence because they lose to somebody. Am I not good enough? And do I suck? So I can understand your dad making that
was me.
Making that part of it.
That was me. Weirdly enough, I got 3 older siblings, two older brothers and an older sister. And the sister's the oldest. And they were exceptionally good when I was younger, and I sucked So, so I would literally every weekend we were going to a new competition. We jump in the van. It's the same thing. I had the best time with them though. So we were laughing, joking, singing, like just drives to Manchester, to here, to there, like 2 hours this way, 3 hours that way, 4 hours this way, every single weekend. And every single weekend I'll get my ass handed to me. And on the way back, all I'm seeing is their medals like clink, 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 clink. And they're talking about all the people that they beat up. I'm talking about how many people kicked me in the face. It's just, it was a very different experience. But obviously, because I just loved the whole experience of traveling, it didn't really faze me too much that I was losing. Obviously, I wanted to win, but it didn't faze me too much in order to not want to go back the next time. I just wanted to be with them anyway. And I'm glad that, I stuck it and, I got to where I am now.
Well, yeah, obviously it paid off because, you're a very, very famous professional athlete. Let's talk about that transition from, you making that step into, I'm assuming it's no brainer, you probably went into professional kickboxing, right? Like, obviously, I think at the time the age you're at, there was no K1, correct? So what was your first professional instance into martial arts?
To be fair, we didn't do I didn't do any kind of full contact kickboxing. I did but it was weird. They did like full contact point scoring. It was a kind of a new show, very similar to Karate Combat now. They did a show like that back in the day, and I had one. They did 3 big shows, and I had won 2 of them. One of them I wasn't available because I had an injury, but I won both the ones that I actually was able to compete in. That was my, the only kind of experience of full contact before I decided to go into MMA. I just knew it got to the point where even in the point scoring, I'm hitting people so precise, like people was falling over. But in point scoring, obviously you technically wasn't allowed to do full contact. And it wasn't even that I was trying like to hit anybody hard. I was just catching them like such good timing. And so many people kept falling over. And I kept getting disqualified. So I was like, I just need to, it was frustrating me that I couldn't, just fight properly. So that's when I kind of said to myself, okay, I need to cross over and find something else. And that's when I started. I was on a hunt for loads of different things. I decided I wasn't sure if I wanted to do like you say, K1, boxing, MMA. I went to my first MMA session, I think I was about 23, 24. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, yeah, this is 100% what I want to do. Can I do it is 2 different things. Like I know I'm enjoying it. Like going to, and it's weird. I like being a student of new things, like figuring things out. So I've done a jiu-jitsu class and I got smashed by every person that was on the mat. And for me, I'm from those like typical bad areas, shall I say. And it had my mind going because I was like, if I saw these guys on road, 100% I'm beating every single one of them up in my mind. And then when they grabbed me and just twisted me up, I was like, yo, I need to recalibrate. my whole reality has just shifted where there was this, small guy with glasses, like just chilling down there, and this guy whooped my ass. So I was like, all right, yeah, this is definitely something I need to figure out. So straight away I fell in love with it and just started the journey from there.
Wow, that's crazy. Because I mean, you went straight into the karate. You're hurting people because of your timing, your speed, and you're hitting them in the right places. And then you go into mixed martial arts. And so once you jumped to MMA, what was the first big promotion that you jumped in? Was it Bellator? Because I felt like you did a lot of your career, like pretty much majority of your career in Bellator.
Yeah. So the first show, I don't know if you remember a show called Cage Rage. Now, Cage Rage had like Anderson Silva fought in Cage Rage. They've had
I remember that one.
Even Cyborg, who I ended up fighting. They had loads of people at the time. It was the biggest thing in the UK, and a lot of fighters would go from there to the UFC. Then something happened to their company. They kind of closed down and reopened up as UCMMA. So that's when I crossed over, and that's where I had my first fight. And after my first fight, Bellator had contacted, because that's when I did the 360 kick and stood there.
Yep. You're like this. I said that shit.
So yeah, that's when I did that, and then so I landed the kick, did that. Afterwards, Bellator had contacted, I can't remember who it was, that one of the guys, one of the staff on Bellator knew one of my coaches and was inquiring like, yo, who's this kid? Da-da-da-da. And then they were like, we want to see a bit more, but we're definitely interested. I had 2 more fights in the UK, and a show called Super Fight League in India approached me with a decent offer for some good money. And considering at the time my first fight, I made £100.
Damn.
After going viral, next fight I had 200, and then I think it's 400. It was crazy. And then, so considering that happened, when I got a decent offer from a show, I was like, yeah, let's go. So we did a couple of fights over in India, but then Bellator had contacted just in between that, and Super Fight League, I can't remember who the guy's name was, but he had a good relationship with Bjorn at the time, and they said they were happy for me to have 2 contracts, to like a dual contract. So I ended up having a contract with both Super Fight League and Bellator at the same time. And after my second fight with Super Fight League, I joined Bellator. And to be fair, Super Fight League kind of just fell off. They had a lot of issues, and I wasn't really doing too many international fights anymore. So I just kind of stayed with Bellator, and then that was my journey from there.
How long were you in Bellator? I feel it was like maybe 10 years.
Yeah, honestly, 10, 11 years.
10, 11 years, because I felt like you were like the main star in Bellator. Like any single time anybody talked about Bellator, your name always came up, right? Like if you look at the history books of Bellator, if nobody mentions, Michael Chandler or Michael Venom Page, then they didn't watch Bellator. But you had a great time in Bellator, and then now you made your transition into the UFC. What was that transitional period like? Because I felt like once, there was kind of like a lot of rumors like, oh man, how is MVP going to do in the UFC? Is he going to come to the UFC? Then boom, you make the announcement, you're finally in the UFC. So walk me through that transition of you making the choice to go to the UFC, and now that you're here, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, so obviously it came to an end with Bellator where I was like, yeah, this is definitely the right time for multiple reasons. Always on good terms though, but I was like, it's time to test that free agency. Obviously, there's loads more shows that are like, building up, and in this era at the moment. So I had a lot of offers, shall I say, people approaching me with loads of different things. It felt good to be a wanted man, but UFC was always gonna be the goal. Was always gonna be the main place that I wanted to go. I had a serious conversation with PFL. They were probably the closest people potentially to get anywhere, but I said, like, I was very honest with them, and I said my head is and my focus is UFC, but if you can put something crazy on the table, then that's the only way you're going to be able to turn my head. And it wasn't just financial. Literally, I remember sitting down with my team, and I was just like, I put down bullet points of what a insane contract would look like. Just like literally, we're just like, just whether it be the wages, whether it was like monthly, it was like purse, it was just everything. I put everything in there, and then I was like, this is the only thing that I'd like go for. And I sent it to them, and they were having some serious considerations of it, which I was shocked. You put something out there, because I was like, they ain't never gonna say yes to that. They're just gonna be like, nah. And then when they were like, okay, yeah, we're literally gonna speak to the team, and and they started negotiating a little bit, trying to drop a couple of things, raise a couple of things. So I had a bit more of a serious conversation with them, met the team and so on and so forth. But again, it was still UFC that I kind of was angling for. And then they confirmed briefly, they're like, we've got one more conversation, but this is the contract we're going to give you. And it was even a little bit more than what I put down. And I was like, damn. I was like, I guess I might have to go. And And then they came back, obviously having a conversation with their team, I think, and they said basically because they had just acquired Bellator as a whole, it'd be very difficult for them to kind of, you know, push this one through. And I was like, yeah, cool, no problem.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, the all things happen for a reason. I definitely was destined to come to the UFC.
Well, I think I think the biggest thing when I, you know, listened to that was like you tested free agency, right? Like I think now in all of mixed martial arts, this is the most important thing that a lot of athletes who have a big name like yourself, when you're up on your contract, if you get the opportunity to test free agency, you do it because you're getting offers from every single organization.
Yeah.
And then you made that bullet point. You're like, hey, this is what I want. This is what I love to have. And some of these organizations are going to meet it or give you even more money, and then you end up landing in the UFC. Now, when you had your debut, you know, I watched it, and what was your, you know, what did you and your family come up with to dance? Like, what was the skit you were trying to do? Because you dropped Holland a couple times and you didn't follow up. You kind of did a little, you know, dancing. What was the skit for you and your family you had planned out for the man?
To be fair, the sometimes how I like to kind of put my fingerprint in different parts of the fight, shall I say, or the show, shall I say. So for me, this time, the main focus was just the walkout. Because I'm taking Kevin Holland very, very seriously. He's a tough competitor. I still believe he's like a ridiculously tough guy. And super talented. It was definitely going to be a fight that I needed to make sure that I was, you know, 100%, you know, ready and focused on. So I was like, you know, I'm going to put my MVP spin on the entrance, which is what I did with the, you know, the Undertaker entrance and, you know, the dancing. And then with the fight, I'm like, yeah, let me just go get this guy. But for me, like I'm a person that senses energies. And when I first met him, I felt a little bit of nervousness, in my opinion. And then he said a few things and I was like, you know what? It sounds like this guy, he's been watching me a while. Like not just now that I've come to the UFC, he's actually been a fan of me for a long time. And it's very hard for people to get that out of their head once they're now fighting that person across the way that you kind of, you know, looked at or had some form of admiration for, you know, prior to. So me stunting on him was more because I know it's going to further demoralize him during the fight, which is what he did. Instead of me like focusing on, you know, trying to ground and pound him and do all of that kind of stuff, it was more about just staying in his head. And I think that's exactly what I did, which is, you know, even when he got back to, obviously didn't hear it at the time, but when he got back to his corner after the first round, he was telling his coaches, man, this guy's a lot faster than you guys are. Like, you guys are thinking like, so I know it worked. I got into his head and I didn't want to, I know where I enjoyed the most. I enjoy kicking and punching people in the face.
Yeah.
I love jiu-jitsu. I love wrestling. Why do I need to show it? No. If I knock somebody down, I want to keep. If you're gonna get back up, I'm gonna let you get back up because I just feel like I'm untouchable on my feet.
And that's what I was gonna ask you next. Like you drop people, and it's like I know this man knows how to grapple and do jiu-jitsu, but you subconsciously choose not to do it. So let's say you're fighting somebody and they're whooping your ass on the feet. Obviously, you know, we haven't seen it yet. Would you ever is your ego too big to start wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu?
No, not at all. It's game plan. Like you have to understand who you're dealing with. I'm so confident that I allow people to get up because I'm so confident it's going to happen again. And there's two sides to that. Is okay, let's say if you want to call it a lucky shot. In that moment, I've knocked you down, and the fact that I am letting you get back up is also signal to you that I'm okay with what's happening here, and I know I can find that again. And again, these are things that are very demoralizing, and I find that I play a lot of mind games. Before was quite unintentional. Now I'm very intentional about how I do things. So yeah, those moments when you get knocked down and I'm just staring at you like, bro, let's go again. Like, let's go again. But as you say, if I needed to, if I, it always happens. You get somebody rings your bell. It's like, yo, it's getting a bit sticky on my feet. 100%. I got some takedowns. I got some trips. I got some jits that I'm gonna have to go to, and I'm. It's weird because I'm still confident in that area. I just don't care about it when I'm fighting. Like, I want to do what I do best.
It's interesting. Like, now that I transitioned into this role of talking to so many amazing athletes and guests, and when they say, nah, I'm not, like when I talk to Izzy, he goes, I'm not going to fucking wrestle. I don't need to wrestle. I hear you talking, I don't need to wrestle or do jiu-jitsu. I'm going to let your ass back up and just have you get back on your feet and demoralize you. And it's different. When I hear it, because I'm like, you should just take him down past his guard to get your 50K bonus and walk home free. Don't get hit. But you're like, nah. Get back up. I'm gonna knock you down again and again. And that's what you did. That's what you did to Kevin. Like, he kept getting up. I'm like, I don't understand how he doesn't know Michael's gonna throw a fucking right hand across the distance and come in the void, and he's gonna throw you down to the ground. You're gonna get back up and do it again. I was yelling so much. I'm like, maybe, but you know what? Like you said before, your speed. Right? It's easy. It's easier for me to sit on the couch and say it with the rest of the fucking world, right? Obviously, I have something above people who are on the couch, is I have actually fought and competed before and fought guys who blitz like you do. And where you kept on doing it to him, I was just like, this motherfucker can't catch a clue. But, congrats on you beating him. Now let's shift. Now you're fighting Ian Garry, somebody who has almost a similar style to you. I will give you the athleticism and the speed and more of the trickster, right? But you guys both kind of rely on the feet where you're trying to make your opponent miss and you're catching them. So with here, in this fight, I think we both can agree it can get a little bit sticky on the feet, right? I think I feel comfortable saying that. How are you looking at this fight with your next opponent, Ian Garry?
To be fair, it's weird because personally, I don't think it's going to get sticky on my feet. I do the same thing over and over again to people. And just taking it back to what you were saying before, so many people misunderstand because from where they're sitting, it feels very different. But I've got a way of pushing and pulling people into exactly where I need them to be, landing shots without you really seeing or understanding how I got there, which is why I can do it over and over again. And the good thing about my style is there is nobody that Ian Garry or any of these guys are going to find to replicate what I do. So your first experience of me is when I'm standing across the cage. And in that moment, I've turned so many good strikers into grapplers because they're like, that's when they go to their plan B, because they're like, yeah, forget it. What I thought I was going to, most people would do the thing where his leg's right there, he's standing sideways on, his leg's right there, kick the leg. Everybody's tried, there's been a few people that's, managed to figure it out, but very few people. Like, everybody's like trying to go for it, can't find it, I'll just do this. And then they get there, can't find it. I've had multiple previous opponents after the fight come up to me. I was like, I didn't think that was ever going to happen to me. Genuinely, like damn.
Well, I love how you said, like you said, it's easier to say it on the couch, right? And when you're talking, everybody's gonna listen to this like, DJ don't know what the fuck he talking about. DJ says, oh, just walk down and clinch him and wrestle him. I was like, that's what the fuck I would do. But then again, like you said, a lot of people say the same thing about myself, like, oh, Demetrious is so fast. The way he transitioned between the wrestling to the striking to the jiu-jitsu, it's his speed. And then when they get in there with me, they're like, holy fuck, I didn't know what speed was until they fought. So I think it's almost a similar thing that you're being able to, you have the mystic aura about you, like the speed. Yes, my leg's right there. Please try to kick it, because when you do, I'm gonna catch you with the right hand. So don't think I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at how you're explaining it. Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, when I watch you fight, I'm like, oh, here he goes, showing his ass off. He about to do, and then you hit him. I'm like, wow, he must be that fast.
And I get it. Like I said, I get it. And I'm technically, I'm gonna do exactly the same thing when I'm watching other fights. I'm putting myself in that person's, place, and I'm like, yeah, I would have done this and I would have done that. But at the same time, I do get like, and even I've got some horror stories like in the gym. Like and this is why I knew I could do it. I could compete at this level, because I've sparred so many UFC athletes, so many, all weights from light heavyweight right the way down. So, and not one of them can say they had a good time with me. Like, it can be close, but not one of them can say that all of them will. Every single one of those people would have already known that I would be okay. Maybe the only thing they can potentially question is, he's getting a little bit older. Can he still do it? But I've sparred so many guys in the front, UFC level. Don't get me wrong. I get that in the gym, it's very different, but I also know that I'm a showman. I always show out when it comes to the showtime. You know what I mean? So for me, I usually raise my game when I get into the cage, versus where I know some people can struggle to transfer what they've done in the gym or what they're doing in the gym to the cage. So yeah. I already knew I was ready for this.
How old are you?
37 years young.
37 years young. So, everybody's like, you're still young, right? I mean, it looks like you take care of your body. I'm assuming you have no children. And so you could just focus on being the best version of yourself as an athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure your recovery is good. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But when you compete in the gym and you compete under the lights, there's two difference, right? I'm sure you're not using your full speed in the gym. When you're in the cage under the bright lights, you're about to show your ass off. The adrenaline, the speed, everything is totally different. It gets amped up to a whole new level. Even for myself, like when I compete in the gym, it's like, my wife said, you're fast. She goes, then when I actually compete in jiu-jitsu, she goes, holy shit. Like, it's like, what? She goes, your speed from when you did mixed martial arts is transferred over to jiu-jitsu. I was like, yeah, because I'm fucking competing. Like, I'm not holding back. I'm trying to throw a motherfucker on his head. So I understand your difference of the correlation you're making between the gym and into the live show. Now, here's a question for you. This can be off the tangent. Do your brothers and sisters still train Kung Fu at all, or no?
So actually, a lot of them had my younger brother, who's bigger than me, bigger brother. He's like 6'5", just massive. But he kind of continued fighting in the freestyle kickboxing world. Then he kind of found his place coaching. So now he's just running, he's running the kind of the family gym, and he's found his place there. My older brother kind of left as well, and has recently, more recently, I'll say the last 4 or 5 years, if I'm correct, kind of started to train again. Initially, I think it was just to kind of get back into shape, but now he does like freestyle kickboxing competitions again. My sister was doing it again the other day as well. It's kind of a family thing. All my nieces and nephews, they all train. They all do competitions. I was over there with them the other day, just after my last fight, and got to go and watch them in competition. And they did amazing. I was so proud of one of them. So it is a family thing, man. It really is a family thing.
That's what's up. I'm happy that everybody who's kicking whose ass in the family thing.
To be fair, man, they're all different. Like, that's what I love about the. That's what I know, but like genuinely, like Mike, he's probably the oldest one. He's got some like exceptional kicks. Like his leg just it's like a jab, just back, just up there. Micaiah, you can see he's a bit more methodical. Like he analyzes fights. He knows where to position himself and stuff. We got Judah. He's like slightly younger, but he's just a beast. He's the kind of guy that will do 100 push-ups next to you just because he wants to show you how he can do push-ups. And you're like, but why did you pick 100, bro? Like, you could have just showed me 10.
Yeah.
He's just like ridiculously strong for his age, fast for his age. I got the younger one, Conor. He's a lot smaller, and it's funny. He's got exceptional timing. He's nowhere near the strongest, gets knocked about a lot, but he's the one to worry about because his timing is just unbelievable. So once he starts getting a bit more strength behind him and confidence, yeah, he's going to be a problem. And he won the other day as well. And yeah, got Logan, got a younger nephew over here in the UK. He trains, and he's only just starting to kind of get back into, he didn't really like it at first, but kind of forced to train. And he actually won a competition the other day, but he's more into his football or soccer, as we say over here. Then, and And I'm just proud of all of them, man. I love all of them to bits.
Yeah, that's awesome that your whole family is still doing it. You can still train with them and vibe out with them and share that passion that you guys did when you were kids and as an adult. Okay, now you joined you're in the UFC, the Premier League of Mixed Martial Arts at 37. How are you keeping your body so damn young? You're still fast. You're still crossing the void super fast. What are you doing for your recovery? How are you eating? And you're competing at middleweight. As you get older... We're welterweight, so 170. That's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about one championship.
Oh yeah,
I think about hydration, all that stuff. So you're competing at welterweight, and I know Kevin Holland. He's jumped around too. So you're competing at welterweight. How are you keeping your weight low? And what's your recovery like? What are you doing to keep your body strong at 37 years old at the highest level?
So to be fair, you have to be very, very different. And it took me a little while. I think I was fighting the fact that my body's getting older, but my mind still thinks I'm, the guy from before. So, I go in the gym beforehand and I'm like trying to keep up with all the youngsters. Like I had no warm up. I'm just like, yeah, straight in there. Now I understand that I'm the kind of guy that needs to be there an hour before. I have to do my mobility exercises. I have to do my band work. I have to do all of that. Like I have to really warm up my whole body. And then I'm in with everybody. Otherwise, I'll do it. Like my body's, because my mind's there. I'm capable of just jumping in and just doing it. But the next day, I'm an old man. So, I feel it getting out of bed. And I always tell people I call it the sock test. That's how you know how bad you are. When I stand up and try and put on a sock, and I literally can't get to I have to sit down. That's when you're messed up. So.
Damn,
I've changed
you have to go there.
I've changed a lot of stuff. One of the main things for me is I'm working with a doctor called Dr. E. He runs a place called Human. It's like a biohacking place for exactly that, recovery. So he's got a cryo machine. He's got a hyperbaric chamber, VO2 like lung machine. He's got a bone density machine. And I literally spend a whole day or a couple of days a week, but mainly one day where I do everything top to bottom, just recovering and just work. I really have to spend more on getting people to come in and actually, massages and physios and all the treatments. I just got to make sure I'm doing more of that. Whereas before, when I had an injury, I'm like, it'll fix itself. Fix itself. And I can't get away with doing that anymore.
Damn, Playboy, when you said the sock, man, every single time I put my socks on or fucking my underwear, when I have to put them on, I had to put my head to rest on like the table, and I'm like, there's a pressure. It's not on my back anymore. There's one leg. There's a right. All right, we're good. I fucking hate that, man. Like when you talk about getting older,
I'm telling you.
Yesterday, my oldest is 10 years old, and he's pretty athletic, and so does the middle one. And we're playing football, and my best friend goes, "Hey, man, do you think you could beat Tyron in a race?" Which is my oldest. And I said, "Fuck yeah, I could beat him in a race." He goes, "What if you had a 10-yard head start?" I was like, I bet you I could beat him. So my son he started running, and he got a head start. So he was at full speed. He hit that 10-yard line. I took after his ass, and he beat me. And I was so heartbroken. I was like, fuck. I was like, God damn it, man. And I'm the same age as you. I'm 37, right? So
okay.
when I'm in the gym training with the 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, and I'm like, fuck, you're strong. And I'm like, am I getting weak? Am I getting slower? But hey, like you said, it's just the body getting older, and I try my best to do all the recovery. And it's funny because like when you brought the sock thing, and I'm like, God damn it! I'm glad I'm not the only person. Granted, you're a lot taller than me, so I'm closer to I'm closer to the ground. So I got a little, gravity on my side. I just go, we're good to go.
Oh man, I'll say, I think it gets us all, man. That's one thing nobody can beat, and it's that time factor. But you can make adjustments, and like even if we talk about, let's say Mayweather, I remember when his dad came back to the camp, started training with him again, and Mayweather was going to go do, the normal stuff he would do, the run that he was going to do, this, that. His dad's like, what are you doing? Relax, just chill. He's like, yeah, no, this is what we normally do. He's like, yeah, but you're getting older, just relax. Like, this time you got, and it's having people around you that know that you have to make those adjustments as well is definitely important. Because that's somebody that is really analyzing you as an athlete. and is really on top of you. And my coach he's that guy. He pushes me hard, like ridiculously hard. Like it's intense in our gym all the time. But there are times like and I can tell, like he'll just be, for me, like he'll be like, yeah, you can chill today, girl. You can finish a bit early. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like you. That's a lie.
Is this a fucking joke? Are you?
Yeah.
Trick to it?
But it's because he knows, like he can see, you know, when I'm, fatiguing a little bit too much. He doesn't want injuries or whatever. So he's like, okay, that's cool. But I always say to myself, if I'm getting dominated by the youngsters coming through and they're all hungry, if I'm starting to get dominated by them in the gym, that's my time to retire. I don't need to wait to get my ass handed to me out in public. If the guys in the gym are having me up, then that's when I'm like, okay, I need to stop. And that ain't happening just yet. So we still going.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that was gonna be the answer. My next question. So once the athletes in the gym are piecing you up, then that's when you're like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the factors are you are older as an older athlete, 37 years old, but you feel great, you look great. Your last fight, you looked absolutely phenomenal, crossing the void, lighting up, Holland. You look great. So it doesn't look like you'd be slowing down any time soon. Mm-hmm. So once you start getting your ass kicked in the gym, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back and just go into sunset and let my body do what it's gonna do, which is just enjoy itself.
Yeah, definitely. It's the main thing for me, honestly, is if I can't do what I would normally do in a camp, because like I said, we're very intense. If I can't do a camp properly, then there's no point in me fighting. And I think, like I said, I don't need to wait to be proven right by not doing a camp properly and then getting beaten out there in public. Yep. I can literally be like, no, my body's, I can't keep up with these guys. And it doesn't always mean like just sparring, because I'm very, because of my experience, I think that experience can carry you a long way as well. So it's not just that, because sometimes experience-wise, I know how to keep myself safe, even when I'm not pushing as much, but I'm not losing the spar either. But it's the one where, on the machines that we do, Versa climbers and do rowing machine, we have to hit certain scores. And every camp we get to those same marks and start breaking our records. If I can't do that, and my body's just literally, I'm pushing myself and my body's not allowing me to do that, that's when I'm like, I don't know if I need to keep going then. And it's those moments in the camp that I need to pay attention to as well. Because like I said, I know how to, with my experience, I know how to like sneak win rounds here and sneak, you know what I mean? I can be intelligent that way, but that's not going to be good enough on the big stage.
Gotcha. So you have these markers in camp that you can always go back to look at, like, hey, you know what? When I was 32 years old, I was hitting this marker. When I was 37, I was hitting this marker. Hey, I'm 46 now. I'm still hitting that marker. You 52. I was like, I still got that motherfucking venom in my veins. I'm beating those fucking markers. We're gonna go another 5 more years, boys.
Yeah. That's it. And I legit. And I like I said, I'll never let the sport retire me. I'll retire for myself. But it's if I'm enjoying myself, like genuinely still enjoying it, and I mean from start to finish, from the beginning of the camp to the fight, not just the fight, then if I'm still enjoying that whole process, because it's tough, as you know, it's not an easy journey, and a lot of people are like, I want to be an MMA fighter. I'm like, bruh, please understand what you're talking about here. It's not. It looks good because we make it look quite fly when it comes to the last 15 minutes of our camp, but it started way before that. So once I stop enjoying that whole process, then I'm out.
Gotcha. I love when you said that, because when people ask me, man, I want to be an MMA fighter, what do you think? I'm like, you might choose a different sport. If it was anybody else, like if somebody came up to LeBron James, I'm gonna be a professional basketball player. I'm like, you know what, son, kid, you can fucking do it. You make a lot of money. The MMA athletes, don't fucking do it. No. NBA, NHL,
any
NFL,
other sport, go do it.
And I was like, they were like, absolutely, kid. You get your own shoe line, etc. It's fucking hilarious. Okay, a couple more. Nickname Venom, Michael Venom Page. Where does the nickname come from? Because I know when you're doing your weigh-ins, you bring up your little snake above your fucking head, and then you put it over your opponent's head. Where does this come from?
So my I call him my older brother. Like I said, I got blessed with two families of martial arts, and then the family that we choose. outside and my blood family. So it's in the martial arts world, when I was about 9, 10, I start, I'd win some here, lose some, win some. And, but when my dad had set up the gyms or the classes that we were doing, at the time we didn't have, we had to train with the adults. So we had kids classes, but it's only for the really young. And then, so like 10 upwards, we're training with adults. And I'm trying my best, a little skinny guy. I'm trying my best, trying to hit these adults just to cause any effect. Like, I just want to see them wince, do something. But obviously they're grown men. I'm like putting everything in, hitting these guys, nothing's happening. But obviously that effort stays. So when I'm fighting people my own age, I go to competition and I'm hitting these kids. And even when I'm losing, because again, it was a sport, it was the speed element of it. So they're getting there first, but when I'm hitting them, these guys are like going down and da-da-da. My Marvin Francis is like, again, older brother to me. He's one of the guys who used to train under my dad. He'd be like, man, you got venom in your punches. Like this little dweeby kid, and you're hitting kids and they're going flying. Like you got venom. So he just kept me. He would just call me Venom randomly. And then I actually believe when I got into the MMA world, is when somebody put together MVP. I didn't realize that because I was signing my name like Michael and I nicknamed Venom Page, and then someone was like, "Oh, MVP." I was like, "Yo, that's pretty slick. I'm gonna keep using that." I literally can't even remember who. Like, it's probably a random comment that went online, and yeah, I just kind of ran with that. It just fit me, and like I said, it's something that's been with me since I was like 9, 10 years old.
Damn, I love that. That's probably one of the best nickname stories we've ever heard. We had somebody else on here. And I was like, man, why'd your nickname Sandman? He goes, I don't know. My last name Sandhagen's fucking horrible. So I said, I might as well go with Sandman. I was like, wow, dog. I was like, you could just made some shit up, like you put motherfuckers to sleep. Maybe, I don't know. So for you to have like the Venom as a nickname for when you were a kid from beating up the adults, we're trying to beat up the adults, and then when you go against people your size, you just hit them with that sting. Like, damn, you got venom in your blood, boy. And you keep on going to MVP. I absolutely love it. And then you go with the snake too. It's amazing because you're building your brand, right? Like when you look at you everybody can like, look at you and be like, hey, he's a snake guy, or he's a flashy guy, or he moves like a snake and bam, and strikes super fast like a cobra. And then in the range, you have your snake up there. Like, I think it's all you encompassing your brand and embodying that. So I think it's amazing. And I love that story. Good.
It's funny because but when I was set to have my first MMA fight, I was literally sitting there thinking like, well, how do I maximize this? Like, the training is one thing. I know I train hard. I know I put a lot of effort into my training. So I'm in my head, I'm like, that's covered. Like the fight side is covered. When I go in there, what will happen will happen. But we don't get that much time on the mic. We don't, we're not seen regularly. Like, how do I maximize this time? And, I was like, I'm trying to think of different things to do. And I remember watching Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, for hours, because I was like, he, for more than anybody I've ever seen, has the crowd in the palm of his hands. Like everything this guy says, it just takes off. So I was just watching things like how he how he positions himself and what he says, how he says it. Like, I was just taking notes, and then that's how I kind of came up with everything. One of the things, obviously, that The Rock does when he walks in onto the ring is he lifts his arm up. So I was like, yeah, but I need to make it my own. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to use that. But I was like, Venom, yeah, the snake. All right, yeah, cool. And then that's where the, I'm raising the snake up. And and the thing is, again, it's weird. It's so weird because I did it more for marketing and wasn't really thinking about anything else. And then I started to notice when I'm doing like face-offs with people and I start doing that, I see their eyes shift, and I sense energies. I'm sensing nervousness just from something that they haven't seen before. It breaks that tension of them trying to be the tough guy all the time. And because I'm showing something that they're not used to seeing, I can see how there's one person where I kind of forget who it was. I forget who it was, but there's one person I was looking at, and I did the Venom, and he looked me dead in my eyes, right to my soul, and I was like, damn, this is gonna be a fight, bro, because he didn't budge. He did not flinch, nothing. He did not care, like, at all. He looked me dead in my eyes, and yeah, he was like, I'm coming for your soul, like everything. And
I fucking love that. Yeah. you're like, here we go, baby. And you're like, oh shit. All right.
Man fired that day.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. I love everything you're doing. I'm excited to see your next fight with Ian Garry. Michael, is there anything you want to hit Michael MVP with before we let him go?
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask about, a friend of the show who we talk about often on the YouTube, Bare Knuckle Mike Perry, is in, like, right now in combat sports, like we always call him on this show the Muhammad Ali of bare knuckle boxing. And I want to say I earned so much damn respect for you, not just stepping in there with him, but look what Mike Perry has done against everyone but you in bare knuckle. Like, these dudes can't even last a couple minutes, and you went right in there with him. Like, it was a fucking war. And I think a lot of people thought, like, what's MVP doing? Here's this guy, he's flashy. Now we're taking away the kicks. We're stripping down all of that. It's just bare knuckle. I didn't think a lot of people were giving you a chance. What was that experience like, going right in there with Mike Perry? And that was fucking sick fight.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Like, it was obviously very different. But again, like I said earlier, I like to challenge myself and just try out new things. So when I had the opportunity, it was kind of like in between fights. So I had a fight. I just lost the fight to Storley, and I was like, but I'm fresh. Like, I'm still good to go. So I'm saying to Bellator, like, yo, I want another fight. And they're like, we're gonna have to wait until such and such, and all these fights are, all the drama in the back office. And I was like, bro, I'm so fresh. Like, I was like, cool. Can you let me box? And, because they had let me box before, I was like, is it okay if you let me box? Because, like, just so I'm filling the time, because I don't want to just wait here until, I think it was like a 9 months wait. They were trying to say that they may not have anything. I was like, nah, like, I need to do something. And they were like, yeah, you can go and box. And weirdly enough, my coach is very good friends with David Hay, famous boxer over here. He ran, I think he was doing work with the Bare Knuckle FC, and he was like, yo, does Michael want to, randomly, it wasn't even like he knew anything was going on. He just asked if I would be interested in doing Bare Knuckle. They're paying some good money, blah, blah, blah. So my coach was like, oh, would you, this is being offered. I was like, yeah, why not? And then he told me how much. I was like, 100%. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that one. Yeah. So yeah, and obviously it filled the time. I got a massive pay, probably the biggest pay that I've got until now. Yes, it was interesting because I was like, yeah, against Mike Perry. I was like, yeah, cool. Like, I know who Mike Perry is. I actually really I'm a fan of him in the sense that I just love his personality. He's just a wild cat. I love it, and he's so real, man. Like, when you actually talk to him, he was cool. Like, the first time I actually went to go to the press conference, he just walked up to me. He's like, oh man, I've been watching your fights for years, man. Like, he's just honest. Like, he's his true self. Like, and I love that about him. But then at the same time, he's a beast. Like, he comes to go to war.
He brings it every fucking time.
Every single time. So I knew it was gonna be a fight. And to be fair, and my coach will never let me forget this, because when we got to the arena on that day, the day before, he was like, Michael, go and check the canvas, because go and check the actual space, because it's not as big as you think it is, because the actual circle space where they actually start the ropes is a lot more enclosed. So the actual canvas itself actually looks quite big. But then when you get in there, once you get in between the ropes, it's actually, there's not that much space in there. And I was like, yeah, no, I'll do it later, coach. I'll do it later. And then I forgot. And then he came back to me later on that evening. He's like, did you go over? And I was like, no. He's like, make sure you go over earlier on tomorrow and check the canvas and make sure you get used to that space, because he kept saying it's not as big as you think it is. I was like, cool. And I forgot. So obviously the first time that I got in there,
You're like, did you do your fucking homework? Yeah. I got it done. You should go. I didn't do my homework.
Bro, the dog ate the homework, bro. I said to you.
Yeah.
So I've got into the ring and I was like, shit, this is small. So, and that's like, obviously, because he piles a lot of pressure on, I just made one stupid error at the beginning and just got caught. And like, yeah, he rung my bell and I got up and I was like, bro, like, it's weird because I've been hit like heavy before in the gym, but for some reasons, this one just took it away from my legs. And that's the most important thing for me.
Yep.
It literally took it out of my legs. So I didn't feel dizzy. I got back up. I didn't feel dizzy. I was like, yeah, I said to the referee, I'm good. But I was like, my legs are not working. And I was like, bro, we're going to take it to the streets. This is a road fight now. So I was like, I've been there before. I don't mind. So that's what I had to do. I just had to dig deep. Obviously, I was still trying to be as technical as possible. And I even remember when they did the extra round, I went up to my coach and I was like, coach, I can't feel my legs. He's like, fuck your legs. He was dead serious, and I was like, "You right. Let me go back."
I bet you he's probably mad at you. He goes, "You're a fucking dumbass. You came over here and felt the fucking ring out. You would have made that critical error. Fucker, fuck your legs. Get back in here and finish the fight."
He never let me live this down. I'll tell you, he never let me live it down. To me, it's weird though. I personally feel like I landed more, and I actually. I stole it, but regardless, it was a great fight. And weirdly enough, as much as it didn't go my way, I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and actually, everybody, and I'm talking to all my family, friends, are like, never do that again. And I was like, I actually want to do that again.
Damn. Yeah, you got done. You're like, man, look at this fat ass check we got, boys. Yeah. And you were able to do it between fights, right? Like you think about it. If you go out, if like your last fight with Holland. So, let's say you got out your last fight clean. It wasn't like you took any damage. Could you imagine like 2 months later, it's like, oh shit, I go do bare knuckle fight and get another, 6-figure payday or a 7-figure payday. I don't know if they paid you, right? And then you fight Ian Garry. Like at the end of the day, it's about making as much money as possible, right?
Of course.
So, but I love how, I never realized how important it was to feel the canvas, to have your back against the cage or the ropes, just to feel it. Like you feel the lights, you look up, you're like, hey, you take a deep breath, you look at all like the surrounding.
Yep.
And then that way, when you get in there at nighttime, it's go time. It's like, hey, I've been here already.
Exactly.
I know,
familiar.
I know that distance, right? So for you, when you fight Mike Perry, someone who comes straight forward, gets on you immediately, it's like, oh shit. Damn it. I forgot to, damn it. I didn't, those errors, they add up, so.
Yeah, definitely. I'll never forget that again. Like that was, that was my punishment, definitely.
Well,
it was at the same time. Like I said, I really enjoyed that experience. I'm actually really happy that he's doing so well and he's kind of found his place. Like I said, it was almost like I said. I always say things are they're meant to be that way. Like a lot of people got to see me in a very different light, and I think I did gain a lot of respect from people. But also, he's gone on to do some amazing things, and maybe that loss could have changed it for him. And it's just I've still continued to grow in my success and on my journey. So it hasn't really changed anything for me. So the way it was supposed to happen is the way it's supposed to happen.
That's what's up. That's a beautiful attitude and a good insight to look at it. A lot of people could learn from what you just said. So shout out to you for having a positive mindset. So Michael, Venom, Paige, Michael, what you got from producer?
Yeah. So I also wanted to ask, we finally got the 170, the next title fight up, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. First, I want your prediction on that fight, but also I want to say for me personally, I would love to see you and Leon Edwards do it at Wembley or something like that. That would be. Shit. I know that's what you would want to, but what do you think of that matchup, and who do you think comes out of that champion?
Yeah, so that for me, man, is exactly as you say. It's something that I've been. As soon as I got here, I was like, that for me is. I feel like I've already envisioned this. I've already seen it. I feel like me and him would make some noise. It would blow up London City for a night. I think that would be an amazing fight. So selfishly speaking, I want him to win. But it is a difficult one. It's weird, but Leon's got a very kind of slow pace, kind of trying to.
Yep.
But so has Belal. But I feel like the slow pace could favor Belal, because I feel like if he had a bit more pressure is where he'd make more mistakes. But if the fact that both of them are very composed, but one of them's got very strong grappler, it means he can get to your legs a bit easier when the pace is calm. You know, he can kind of see the shots a little bit better. His striking has got better, progressively better for Belal, talking about, has got progressively better, like over the last 5-6 fights that he's been doing. You can see that he's definitely putting in the work. And we obviously all know how strong he is in that grappling space. The other side to that is Leon Edwards against Usman. And we can all say, like, you know, Usman's an exceptional grappler, but Leon Edwards got up, he took him down. You know, he's shown his grappling skills against like crazy, like high level grapplers. He is very strong in an area that people don't think he's necessarily that strong in. So, you know, how many shots is it going to take for Belal to even get Leon, you know, on his back? I think it's going to be more than he might anticipate. And as his energy's going down, it's going to make Leon Edwards a bit more dangerous. So I'm edging it slightly to Leon Edwards. And again, selfishly speaking, I kind of want that result more so because I want to be the guy to take his belt.
No, I think your assessment's spot on. I just broke down his fight against Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington, and he's so patient, so strategic of just walking across the void, being okay with just kicking the legs. He defended pretty much every single takedown from Colby Covington, even though Colby wasn't himself and just going after it. But when you look at the Kamaru Usman fights, he defended the takedowns and got back to his feet where he was the strongest, ended up knocking him out. Third fight, he ended up striking him. So I agree with you. I'm going to go with Leon Edwards too. I feel like he is starting to come into his own as a champion. And I think it would be dope to see you two lock it up in Wembley Stadium over in the UK. So, hey, I'm here for it.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Hopefully you come over as well. Come visit us.
Shoot, I need to. I think next year, 2025 summer, I'm coming over because I have family over there in Kent.
Okay.
So
man. So when you get over here, you gotta shout me, man. Definitely.
I will. I'm gonna come spar you. I'm gonna see how long the motherfucking legs can keep cracking. I'm like, oh my god, look how fast he is.
Sorry to keep you so long, but I had to ask. You were so close to sharing a card with Conor McGregor, and then he obviously had to pull out of the pay-per-view with an undisclosed injury. What was going through your head when you signed on the dotted line against Ian Garry, knowing you were going to share the undercard of a Conor McGregor pay-per-view? Were you looking forward to that experience?
It's so weird, This is something that I don't know if it's something that's wrong with me or if it's a good thing, but I'm so Caribbean about things. Like, I'm so chill. Like, these things don't bother me. I try not to make anything that big of an occasion. Like, you know, we're both managed by the same person. You know, I've met him multiple times. I think he's amazing. And I kind of separate the person from the achievement. And what he's, you know, if I can sit there and just analyze what he's done for the sport, what he's done for himself, like, unbelievable. But I'm just gonna sit back and just enjoy him from the front row, like versus you know, but from behind the screen. But I don't really make it more than that. Like, otherwise, I feel like, I don't even think it's an intentional thing, but I just feel like it can overwhelm you that, now you feel like you need to do better and this and that. I'm just going to be myself. Like, in all honesty, when this fight was offered to me and they said June, I was like, is it okay if we make it in Manchester, which is the following month, just to give me a little bit more time to prepare. I just literally just came back off holiday, and they were like, basically Ian Garry was like, no, he basically he just dick riding and wants to just be next to Conor. So he's the guy to ask that question, because you can tell he just wants to be right next to him. But it doesn't bother me. Yeah, and I'm not taking anything away from Conor. I think he's one of the best to ever do it when it comes to marketing. So, but if I could have chosen, and I actually did when they presented to me, I actually would have just done it in Manchester. One, because it's here at Homeland. I get to be with my friends and family, a lot of people that I would have known to be here. But two, like I said, just give me a little bit more time, and I'm just focusing on my journey, not anybody else's.
I love that. And you're also approaching as a martial artist, right?
Yeah.
You've been doing this forever. You're fought on the biggest stages of Bellator, the UFC. Now you just have somebody to bring more eyeballs to see your greatness, your Venom, your Sting, your athleticism, to show you why you're probably the next person to fight for the belt, depending on what happens between Leon and Belal. So I love it, man. I'm gonna be watching it, and I'm gonna be breaking that fight down as well. So you better be, I want to see a little bit of this shit going on right here. Okay.
Yeah, you'll see it all. Don't worry, you'll see it all.
Oh shit! All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our guest, Michael Venom Page. Michael, where can people find you? I know you got a YouTube channel. This is your opportunity to let people know where they can find you on your social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah, check me out at Michael Venom Page on Instagram, Michael Page 247 on Twitter, YouTube channel, massive important. I'm blowing up my YouTube now. We're doing a lot of work on the YouTube and doing a lot of like techniques and then just behind the scenes stuff that people don't get to see a lot of. You get to see a bit more of my personality as well. And actually, we're starting a film company, so In the Moment Productions, that's coming soon. And we're doing we've got quite a few projects going on. There's a lot that my editor here, creative producer behind the camera, he's the one that's doing a lot of the work with me. In fact, all of the work with me. So all of the videos that you see coming out is all his doing. And it's we got a heavy list of things to come. So stay tuned.
That's awesome that you and your producer are doing that. Can you have your producer come and get on the camera so we get some screen time to show the man behind the madness?
Yeah. Come in here, man.
Fuck your hair and makeup. Hey, there it is. There he is. There we go. We always try to give the producer an opportunity to show themselves because, to be honest with you, you as an athlete and a content creator, this is like half the job. There's a whole nother back end to make everything look so well. So as for that, we wanted to give your producer an opportunity to show his face, show his hair and all that good stuff. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to, set this up and make this happen at the highest quality ever, man. So we appreciate you, brother.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And he's actually just done my documentary. It's going to be coming out soon. And he's put some work. It literally starts from when I got signed to the UFC to just after the first fight of the UFC. So that's the first one. And then we get to work on the next.
Okay, well, shit. Hopefully you drop it on YouTube to give a little segue to the trailer so they can find out where they can watch it. So, but boys, that is Michael Venom Page and his producer. I am your host, Demetrious Johnson. That's my co-host, Michael Wandsrover, and we will see you guys at the next one. Chill. Well, damn. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Mighty Recap, where we basically recap what we just talked to with our guests. And our last guest was MVP Michael Venom Page. He's taking on Ian Garry at UFC 303. I mean, the biggest thing that I love about talking about MVP is that he's so humble. I love to hear the backstory of how he got into martial arts. Like it's a family outing, right? And his story about like when he would go to the competition with his family and then he would always lose. And then on the way home, they would all be riding in the back of the car with all their medals, say ting, 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 ting. Kind of reminds me of like with my kids right now, where Tyron, he'll go compete, Maverick will compete, and then they're all having their little medals and you hear the clacking, the ting, 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 ting. I thought it was pretty cool. And to hear that him and his family still train, not on the level that MVP does, because he's a professional fighter, but they still have some type of training going on between them. And the fact that they all kind of collaborate with each other and talk about what he's going to do after he beats somebody. So it's always premeditated when he beats people. Like when he was fighting Kevin Holland, he would hit him and drop him, and then he'll start, showboating. And even when he fought the homeboy, Pokemon Go was big. He would throw the Pokeball, and then Ray Rod would get a hold of it, and then basically take the meme or emote and turn it into a nice little social media clip. Like, I'm excited for him to come, now that he's in the UFC. He spent most of his career in Bellator. Now he's in the UFC. He's 1-0 in the UFC. Now he's taking on Ian Garry, which is going to be an amazing fight because they both kind of have the similar styles, stand-up artists. don't know. I don't know where I got in that fight. You know, if I had to go, I'm gonna go MVP since he's been on the show. But I absolutely love talking to him.
Spoiling our final predictions that are dropping this week, but we'll give you guys a free one.
There you go.
Yeah. So MVP, that's your prediction. I think that's.
I'll have to go MVP. So if you guys stay here, if you guys made it to this far, to the mighty recap, boom, you have my prediction with MVP versus Ian Garry. And I think the cool thing about him is that he spent so much time in Bellator, and now him being, I think he said he's in his mid-30s. He's not a young spring chicken. Finally getting an opportunity to fight in the UFC, you know, to see what he can do with that style. And he's going right up to, I mean, I think Ian Garry's top 5, right? I think Ian Garry has to be top 5. He's so close to getting a title shot. It should be an interesting fight, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, so pulling up right now, we got taking a look at the welterweight division. So right now we have, I'm surprised Ian Garry, he comes in at number 7. And yes, MVP is 14, which I'm surprised by that, because I'm telling you, if this weekend, if MVP first card of the pay-per-view, if he does what he could do, the highlight reel knockouts, whether it's a flying knee or and he's doing his dancing, his little snake thing, whatever he does, little Pokemon ball, whatever he has planned, if he does that on that stage, I feel like he could potentially get his title shot next. I know it sounds crazy that it's a matchup of 7 versus 14, but I just think MVP is that marketable, that entertaining, that I hope I'm not wrong by saying that. Like, would you agree an emphatic win against Ian Garry?
Yeah,
you could maybe see him getting a title shot.
Absolutely, especially if it's spectacular fashion and it's a big finish. 1,000%. People have gotten title shots on less work than a finish, right? So it's the thing in mixed martial arts. If you got a big name and you're everybody loves to watch you fight, you get a title shot off a loss. So I think what you're saying there could come to fruition if he goes out there, pieces up Ian Garry, finishes him, showboats it, and then he can fight the winner of Leon Edwards versus Belal. You know, and I think, you know, Leon Edwards versus MVP could be huge, just because they're both on that side of the world in the UK and they can sell out a stadium. I'm sure it will be absolute massive. So I think there's something there. I think you're onto something, Michael. I think you are.
Yeah, and I think where I like your MVP prediction, pulling up Ian Garry's stats right now. So he has only gotten a takedown in 2 of his UFC fights. Two of those were against Neil Magny. I don't remember that fight, but I would imagine those were kind of off of like strikes, and then he kind of took him down, because Magny's a pretty good grappler, so I'm surprised at that. But he also, in his 3rd UFC fight, got a takedown. So the reason I'm bringing up the wrestling is a point that MVP made to us of when he stands up with guys, he trusts his stand-up against anyone in the world. Like, if you're just talking about mano a mano, this dude is not going to take him down or clinch or anything like that, are you really going to take anyone strike for strike versus MVP? Because I'm certainly not going to. So that's what excites me about this matchup is I believe we're going to get 2 guys standing up. I don't think there's going to be either of them are going to go for a takedown. And if that's the case, it is hard for me to bet against MVP.
I'll tell you what, if there's a PrizePicks on who's going to land takedowns, I'm definitely taking fucking less. I'll tell you that right now. PrizePicks is smart enough to not put a PrizePicks out of. I'd imagine it would be half a takedown or something. Yeah, like
these guys are not going to go for one. Yeah, but no, and I think that's what's interesting about MVP is he might look like a super cocky guy with all the dancing and as we talked about the snake stuff, but talking to him, he's such a humble dude. Like one of the nicest dudes we've had on the show. And it goes to show, and he told this to us too, he does all that stuff to get in his opponent's head. It's not a cocky thing. He's not showing them up. And Anderson Silva was the same way too. Like they're all like, why is he doing the fake knockdowns and the like all this movement and stuff? Like it's getting in their head like, dude, this guy's fucking crazy. He's dancing on me and shit. Like he's that confident. Like he even told us the reason why I do this stuff that I do during the stare downs is to get into my opponent's head. So I think deep down though, he is a very humble dude and he's so easy to root for.
Yeah, it's called mental warfare, right? Like you have the physical warfare and you have the mental warfare, and the mental warfare starts before the physical one does. So if he can get in your brain and showboat in front of you and get you emotional, so when you step into the cage, you're going to be an emotional fighter. Emotional fighters make mistakes, and when you make mistakes, that's when you get caught and you get slept. And the fact that, you know, as you were saying earlier, that he trusts his stand-up so much that he's comfortable knocking somebody down and allowing them to get up to get another opportunity. Now me, I've been very hypercritical of that, and I mentioned that in the podcast when I was talking to him. I was like, dude, why don't you just drop somebody, pass guard, and finish him? He goes, that's not fun. He goes, I love to show, but I'd love to put on a show for the fans and the crowd. And yes, can I grapple? Absolutely, 1000%. But I enjoy knocking people out, and it just stems from his background in the kung fu, doing the karate with his family, and moving in and out of the distance and the void. And he does an amazing job at it. Like, I guess I hate on him because I can't do it because I'm such a short fighter. I'm always fighting a taller guy, so it doesn't play well in my game. But for him, being very tall, lean, long, it works very well for his style and the snake and the venom and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and it was a really cool moment that we stopped rolling the cameras, but right when we went off, he praised you a lot, saying like, dude, you have the greatest highlight in MMA history with your mighty whiz bar, and you were kind of saying like, dude, I'm talking to MVP. You have the most sick walk off knock, like coming from you. You crushed a dude's skull. And actually, I wished I asked about him, but his first MMA fight. Have you seen that? It's insane. Like he lands like this crazy spin kick, and he knew the second it hit, he was knocked out. So he lands the kick, and then he just stares at this camera that's off to the side. Like, this dude is just like, he knew right then. He didn't even have to look at the guy knocked out. He knew like, yeah, this guy's done. Like, he's definitely knocked out. I felt that kick. Like, so this is, I think I'm obviously, speaking to you, you have some of the greatest finishes in MMA history, but MVPs,
he's got some good ones. His
walk-off ones are unreal. So,
well, you already can tell he has the right mindset, because he goes, it's even though I'm on the card with Conor McGregor, you know, it just so happened that his mindset is right, because Conor McGregor is not on the card anymore since he dropped out against Michael Chandler. So him, you know, not put on his eggs in the basket that he's going to perform on the one of the biggest pay-per-view cards of the year, because Conor's not on anymore. So his mindset is in the right place. And I think he's going to show out. And I agree with you. I think, you know, UFC's 1000% way bigger than Bellator. So a lot of people are going to get a second opportunity to see MVP do his thing, bring the snake out, bring the funk, bring out Crossing the Void, and make sure you guys come here to get the final predictions. We'll be dropping it on Thursday or Friday, depending on what Michael wants to do. And you'll also get my prize picks for that event. So boys, if you enjoyed this mighty recap with MVP, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to go live and leave a comment in the section below to let us know what you loved about this interview with MVP. As always, I am your host, Demetrious Johnson. That is my co-host, Michael Wansover. And shout out to our guest, Michael Venom Page, for giving us the opportunity to interview him before he goes out there for his big fight against Ian Garry. We'll see you guys at the next one.